Hello everybody, my name is Lady, and I felt I'd be remiss if I started this log any other way because it's about Twin. Now before I get into the ladle of this soup, if you're new here, light logs are where I discuss things you don't care about. Consider that your introduction to the exit if you're only here for games. The rest of you know the deal. I've got my celts and my notes to remind me what I want to talk about, though this time I don't think I'll need them. As the title vaguely suggests, this whole thing was prompted by a week of Mark. Allow me to set the scene. I'm sitting in bed, lights off, curtains drawn, room door open so I can see any demons out there, closet door closed so I can't see any demons in there. I'm surrounded by the day's trash, paper plates that smell of potatoes and spiced meats, the occasional sour candy wrapper or emptied Haagen-Dazs pint, and seltzer bottles strewn about like socks at a foot party, all twinkling in the muted glow of my telly on which I'm watching YouTube via my Xbox Ichi. Now, the same thing happens every time I do this. I fall asleep with the Xbox on, and YouTube autoplays into oblivion until it leaks into my dreams, giving me a pretty good idea of what must have been playing throughout the night. This time, for whatever reason, I decided to watch some of Mark's older videos. I'm talking like 5 or 6 years back. Now, I eventually fell asleep as expected, and also as expected, started dreaming about him. Now, I wish I could say I remembered all the dreams I had, but the dreams themselves aren't the point of this log. Though I will say the very first dream was set in a post-apocalyptic scenario a la The Walking Dead, except instead of zombies, there was an alien invasion. The planet was occupied, and I was just another survivor, trying to live my little human life while fighting back whenever I could. My leg was injured, and Mark was part of a rebel group I came across on the road. He gave me supplies to treat my wound, despite his group's objections, and we sat there and mused about the occupation and life at large while I bandaged myself up. That's the only dream I remember in any detail. Anyway, normally I watch something different on YouTube each night or on Netflix, but I kept choosing to watch Mark's videos. And I happened to do this every night for a week, each time with the same result. Me falling asleep and dreaming about him, with our interactions in the dreams prompting me to watch more of his videos, which in turn led to more dreaming. Over the course of that week, I found a renewed appreciation of Mark, specifically as someone worthy of calling my twin, to the point where it prompted me to record this log. So, let's talk about how I first came across Mark and why I call him Twin. Then I'll never have to use his name again because you'll all know who Twin is when I say it, rare as it do. A little backstory, I was going to record this at the end of the week in question because that's when it felt right, But I didn't because I have other things to do in life, okay? But in one of Mark's old streams, I must have sleep-watched because I don't remember, day watching it. He mentioned his birthday being June 28th. So I thought, how now, brown cow? That's right around the corner. I'll record this then in honor of his arrival on this planet from the wet place. But then I didn't do that either because I forgot. So it turns out I'm recording this months after the fact. Which, to be honest, is a lot more me. So, happy super belated twin. Now, a quick breakdown of my YouTube origin story, which I think I touched on at length before, so if I contradict anything I've already said, ignore one of me. But I only started watching YouTube for entertainment a few years ago. Prior to that, it was just for tutorials. And one of the first just for fun sort of things I watched was the Fine Brothers Gamers React videos, which was kind of my gateway into watching other gamers play games. And by some miracle of magical algorithmic mojo, I eventually stumbled upon Mark. Now, my notes say to talk about why oh god, you know what? Hold on a second, I just ran out of seltzer and that just will not do. I just cannot abide. I'll be right back. Alright, I've returned with the polar mystical flavors, aka we're not going to tell you what you're buying, we think it's fun for you to guess. Now, my notes say to talk about why I took a liking to him, but the most honest answer is that he reminded me of me. And not someone like me, but another version of me, which probably doesn't make sense, so I'll put it another way that makes even less. Imagine a little ball of cosmic dough, feverishly kneaded by the great baker of the universe. Now imagine the great baker taking one half of the dough, dipping it in chocolate, giving it M&M boobies, and tossing it into the oven of New York to bake for 20 to 25 minutes. That me. Then imagine the great baker taking the other half of that dough, wrapping it around a bratwurst braised in spicy gochujang sauce, giving it a dick, and tossing it in the ground in Hawaii all Kahlua style to bake in one of those big leaves I can't remember the name of. That Mark. But basically, it was like looking at someone made up of all the same odd combinations of ingredients as me on the inside that just manifested a little differently due to differences in our life's recipe on the outside. Anyway, needless to say, I was sold. I mean, Lady Me is fantastic, but finding out there's also a Dude Me? Sign me up and sit me down. I'm Finn to Twin. So I binge watched his videos, not for hours at a time, because I'm an adult who does things like go to work, and not to the kind of job where I can spend half my shift watching shit on my phone like some of y'all do. Yes, I just threw down the gauntlet. What? I see you out there hopping in the streams all, oh my god guys, I'm watching this while I'm at work. So amazing, I'm getting a paycheck for this. You can't see it, but I'm squinting at you. Point is, I binged, but only when I had free time, until I'd watched most of his old stuff and all of his new stuff up to that point. Following that crash course in Iplier, I was convinced more than ever that he is my cosmic dough twin, because he shared so much of my muchness, down to the very words we used. Again, go back to your imagination station and picture yourself waiting for the bus with a stranger nearby. A car runs over insert whatever animal you don't like, and both you and the stranger simultaneously mumble, well, that's a nipple of a titty. Wouldn't your instinct be to turn to that person, extend your hand, and say, Fwend? Fwend now? Every video I watched of Mark's was like having that happen over and over and over again, until honestly at one point I got mad because I was like, why the fuck do I not know you? Like, how dare you have my personality wrapped up in your body while being on a totally different coast, you silly bitch. Like, I was legit angry. Like, this is like not a thing. Like, I'm not performing for you. This is true. I was legitimately angry that there was someone out there so me as me that I not only didn't know, but would likely never know. And I'm not saying that in the attention-seeking, oh, I know you'll never see this, but witness me. Yes, I threw the gauntlet down again. What? No. I'm saying that in the sense that I know myself. And I knew that in spite of being like, oh, this dude's all right. You know, this guy's a decent person sandwich. I'd never say anything to him because I also kind of didn't care. Because, like, who the fuck are you? You know, another me? I already have one of those. So I guess the reason I was so fascinated by him was also the same reason I was like, whatever. Like, I'll watch your stuff, but I won't comment on it, and I damn sure won't follow any of your socials. But, you know, over the years, I've definitely left comments on his videos, though, you know, that was because I wanted to talk about the games, not anything to do with him. And I genuinely didn't think I was following him on Twitter until I looked at his Twitter to make the point to myself that I didn't follow him there, and I was following him there. Well, let me tell you, friends and foes, I promptly unfollowed him because you're not going to tell me my memory is wrong and I don't remember following him in the first place. So I undid it, and it remains undone to this day. Getting back on track though, after the week of Mark's Head Revisited, 10 points to all ye who get that reference, and reflecting on all the ways Mark and I are alike, I started thinking about all the ways we aren't. Because to be fair, I call him twin, not identical twin, and I never claimed we were exactly the same person, just same enough to intrigue. And I thought about it in terms of each trait having a scale where I'm on one side and he's on the other, naturally highlighting the things that stick out to me most about us, one being our voice. Now, admittedly, we have very different voices, as we should, for I am Lady and he is a Mark. But we do share a somewhat theatrical quality, dare I say a full of shitness in the way we speak at times. And we lead into very similar characters with similar accents when make-believing. We also share the quality of sounding so very pleasant when relaxed, but when we're energetic, shit gets high-pitched and lispy and spitty, which is fine when you're close to a mic. Like, that sounds good in a person's ear, listening to that. But I can't say the dial on the voice scale would be smack dab in the middle for two reasons. One, he speaks in his dulcet tones far more than I do. And two, his voice has more staying power. Like, he's basically spent years going and his voice is fine. Whereas me doing that just once made me feel like I swallowed a cheese grater and now I need my cells. Oh, that one doesn't get better with age. No. Every sip, it tastes less like what it is. That's interesting. Anyway, point being that the voice slider is definitely more on his end. Unless you count singing, which we both do at random, but I'd argue I own that. Like, it's kind of my thing, so go fuck. Then there's the way we are in videos, our style and tone. You know, as far as that goes, he's certainly louder and goofier, while I'm naturally more deadpan. If we were a comedy duo, I'd be the straight man, and he'd be the one running into walls. Which isn't to say that I'm not loud and ridiculous, it's just way, way, way more infrequent for me, and also highly depends on the video. Same for my editing. Sometimes I'm a model of calm and composure, and I barely edit at all. Other times I'm Reagan. Not the racist president, the demon-possessed child, though really tomatoes. Now, I should note that when it comes to films, he and I are peas in a pod. Now, if you've been watching me long enough, you know I'm a writer and visual storyteller. That's where my hardest of hearts lies and what my actual career focus used to be. And even though you'll never see any of the production work I've done seriously or the silly fun stuff I used to make with my friends back in school or on my own growing up, you likely have seen the shorts Mark used to do with his buddies, as well as the more professional long-form series he's done for his channel in recent years, so I'll just point to that stuff and say we basically engaged in the same kind of shit. But I'm talking about gaming here, and since being over the top tends to win out as far as Let's Plays go, I'll say the video slider is ever in his favor. Honestly, I think Mark circa late 2017 was the most like me overall, including the language he used and his humor. Before that, he was like me on meth, and I genuinely couldn't tolerate some of those videos. No hate, by the way, but he does this thing where he repeats himself. And if you knew me, you'd know I don't like repetition, because it makes me feel insane. That's why I hate Teletubbies. I mention that all the time, and people don't get it because the show was such a meme and everyone cared more about the one that had a purse. No, the show was weird because while children do love repetition, it's a learning vehicle, familiarity breeds comfort and all that, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. Yet if you've ever watched Teletubbies, you know that they do their thing, and it's all very cutesy and childlike, and then they project reality out of their stomachs, and everything you just watched happens again. And there's no, hey, that was fun, let's play it back. No, it just straight up repeats like some Clockwork Orange pinning your eyes open so they can brainwash you shit. I don't like it. So when Mark repeats himself, I also don't like it. And like I said, prior to 2017-ish, he repeated himself all the time and would not shut up. And now I could stab someone for inquiring as to the whereabouts of a fucking locksmith. That's how much... that's how much it used to drive me crazy. After 2017, though, our vibe was very much the same, but some of the sincerity was gone. There was this increasing sense of him going through the motions more than usual. That restlessness that follows someone who always wants to be doing more and better and different. Sometimes his detachment from the recording was so obvious, I'd think, can I borrow that phone when you're done with it? And that's not a criticism, I've said before that one of the nice things about being a small channel, and more specifically not having a career that revolves around this, is that I don't feel obligated to make videos or to play certain games. I record what I want, when I want, and I don't try to entertain or live up to some standard I or others have set, nor do I have any financial obligation to anyone but me. So there isn't that same risk of growing bored or feeling boxed in or burnt out or like you're not being true to yourself that you often see with big names. I think it'd be fairer to say then that one way we're different in our videos is that when I don't want to play a game because it just doesn't interest me, or I don't want to record anything at all because I'm not into it that day, I just don't. So you don't get to witness that disinterest. Yet he'll still record, and his lack of love for it in that moment shows, So my point there is just that when playing something he genuinely likes and is invested in, that's when I see the most me in him. That sincere awe and curiosity and melting away into the game, rather than coming across as, gotta be funny now, I guess, and make a face and make noises. I will say, though, that I haven't seen much of that put me out of my misery energy from him lately, which is hilarious because there's a pandemic slowly eating away at all of our psyches. Leave it to the dystopian fever dream that is current affairs to make Mark seems totes here for it, Now, another obvious difference is that I don't play rage games. I believe anger is a beautiful and valid emotion that, like sugar, corrodes the enamel of your spirit if you indulge in it too much. So I don't find anything fun about playing games that piss me off. I just don't. In fact, that's the reason that there is one game that I have not yet returned to in years that angered me so much, I had to stop. No, I like games that calm me down, make me laugh, are exciting and engaging for reasons other than being a fucking nightmare. So I'm generally far more mellow in my videos because my games are more mellow. And you know me. If not much is happening, I don't zhuzh things up to keep it entertaining. I want you to be as bored about it as I am. Mark is also kind of the salty caramel to my chocolate in that I'm smooth, baby. I take things in stride, whereas he will have a piss and a moan if he thinks the game dicked him over or he doesn't get his way. Now, to his credit, he has been much better about that, and I'm not saying I don't also pitch the fit and feel the need to explain to the solar system in detail, in perpetuity, how it and everything in it is wrong and I am right, and that is objective and here is why. I just don't do it with games. I also think we have similar egos in that they're both super inflated, but I've adopted more of a quiet humility about me in public, while he's got more of a, look how amazing I am for all this humility I've got sort of flair. And I'll go on the record to say that I don't believe it's an act. I know him being full of himself and needing to be the center of attention is played for laughs, but I also think he's actually full of himself. It's just in ways that are benevolent and endearing enough not to be problematic. Fight me! Anywho, I'm highlighting these differences between us to hammer home the fact that I'm not claiming we're alike all over. And 20 points if you realize that's the second reference I've made to the same TV show. But the ways in which we are alike are notable to me. It's about how I see myself in someone, not how much. And Mark is singular in that, which is a great segue into a disclaimer. I haven't succumbed to the internet's mirage of thinking I know someone personally just because I watch them. So none of what I've said here is being stated as fact. I'm well aware that it's based on my perception of Mark as he presents himself to the public, and that what I see may not be the real him at all. I mean, for all I know, he might be a 50-year-old half-Russian, half-Chinese guy named Fark Shitskov who built a career around this Mark persona to fund his ass-sniffing addiction, and everyone around him is in on the lie. I have no idea. It's just my gut that tells me he's the same as me in ways worthy of mention, even though I can't adequately explain them to you because it's that cosmic dough shit. So, that's the story of Twin, sparked by a week of binging his vids and dreaming some dreads. And none of this was important enough to record. But since I might be posting other logs that are ranty and serious, there's no harm in balancing that out with a log about nice things. And what could be nicer than the only stranger I've ever not met who reminds me of me? The answer is me. I'm nicer. Also, while this doesn't need to be said, I feel compelled, nay, driven, like the snow, to say it. The point of this log is not to kiss Mark's ass like some enamored fan, because full disclosure, I don't think of myself as his fan. That's like being a fan of your brother. Sure, you like him, but would you want his autograph? No. Would you want a selfie with him? Why? Are you on vacation visiting Nan? That's not a selfie, that's a family photo. Nor am I trying to elevate myself by comparing myself to him because I'm already top floor, thank you and good day. I'm also older than him, which means I had this personality first. No, this was just me madly, truly, deeply doing to articulate why I call Mark Twin, and the fact that, as nutty as it sounds, and as sappy as it is, my life is just a bit happier knowing he exists, because it means the universe got things right at least twice. Ha! Now we shall never speak of it again.